Hello, today we will be learning about replacing empty copper coils when operating the Burr Oak Tube Bender. The Burr Oak Tube Bender is a large manufacturing machine that pulls and straightens a certain length of metal copper tubing, then bends it into a hairpin shape to be used later in the production of heating cores, evaporators, and condensers. Let's learn more about replacing the empty copper coils used for the hairpin tubes. As the end of a coil is pulled up into the entry guide tubes, an alligator clip that is attached to the end will be pulled from the tubing to automatically stop the machine from cycling. A light attached to the straightening station will flash to indicate the empty coil. At the remote air feed control panel, shut off the air to the appropriate feed belt pressure pad for that tube. Remember, tube 1 is closest to you, counting up by 1 until reaching tube 7 on the far side. With the feed belt pressure off, remove any stuck coil or tube from the machine by pulling it from the feed belts. Sometimes the coil will get torn inside the machine. You will need to remove all of it to continue operation. Slide a new pallet of coil in and replace the old coil with a new one. Be sure it is the same size and material as before and slide it into position. Generally, Red Dot uses 3/8 inch tubing for its hairpin tubes, with the exception of operating with rifled tubing. The 3/8 inch tubing is the standard diameter used at Red Dot, but to be sure you are using the correct thickness and material required, check the tube description in the work order. Red Dot uses 14 thousandths of an inch thick tubing for standard and 80 radius bends, and 118 10,000ths of an inch for rifled tubes. Reattach the alligator clip to the end of the new coil. The machine will not function without the alligator clip attached to the copper. Attach the start of the new tube to the end of the old tube using the connectors kept near the machine. Check the quality of the material for any deformations that would not allow the tube to pass over the mandrel. If the material is deformed, it must be cut and deburred on the inside diameter of the tube before passing it into the machine. You can use the free cut function to cut the ends of the new tube once it is loaded. However, be cautious when using the cut-off button. If the free ends of the tube are not firmly clamped by the bender, using the cutoff button will mar the tubing and could result in damage to the cutter unit, so avoid using it whenever possible. Turn the air pressure to the feed belts back on and operate the machine until the connectors are accessible near the straightening station or out-of-tube sensors. Stop the machine and detach the two tube ends from the connector. Turn off the air pressure to the feed belts and pull the remaining tube from the old coil out from the machine. You can use the feed backup button to help you if you have any trouble. Thread the new tube through the out-of-tube sensors, the cross-axis tube sizer, the sizing straightening station, and the guide block. Pull those tubes through the appropriate feed belt groove for them and into the wedge tube guide. Be careful not to get any oil or grease on the gripping side of the feed belts. Reapply the feed belt pressure using the remote control panel. Deburr the end of any free-cut tube to make sure it will pass over the mandrels. To return to automatic operation, press the automatic button and then the cycle start button. Allow the machine to complete a few cycles without problems, then restock new coils of copper on the stands. Contact your supervisor if you have any issues. Before we're done, let's go over some evaluation criteria for replacing the empty coils on the Burr Oak Tube Bender. The operator correctly identifies the material thickness that is used on the machine. Know how to check what kind of material you are using from the copper coils. The operator uses the connector to connect the new copper end to the old one. Know how to use the connector to connect old and new tubes. The operator feeds tube through the guides and is able to restart the machine. Know how to feed the tube through each part of the machine into the feed belts and restart the machine once tubes are inserted. That's all you need to know for replacing empty coils when operating the Burr Oak Tube Bender. If you have any questions, be sure to ask your supervisor or coworkers for guidance, and thank you for your contribution toward making Red Dot a better company.